AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Hour 2, welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You, sir. And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. John Brady in about 15 minutes from right now. Mark Schlereth next hour. LSU Baseball, 15 Skip Bertman days away from the start of the season. 2 weeks from tomorrow, Tigers will open up the 2026 baseball season. And normally we do a position group breakdown with Terrio. Ryan couldn't be here last week. I'm out tomorrow. So I'll be at the KKDL. I'm serving as the Grand Marshal for KKDL, which is Carnival Crew de Louisiane. It's a great fundraiser, which raises money for cancer research at Mary Bird Perkins. So I'll be there tomorrow. And then the following Friday will be on Radio Road Super Bowl. So the next time I'll be here on Friday will be opening day for LSU Baseball. So let's try to knock out some of this preview today. In 1 hour, we'll talk about the lineup. Let's right now sort of look at the pitching staff. I think if I were to describe this staff in totality, it is certainly the deepest and most talented staff that Jay's had. And y'all, I know there have been times since he's been here that LSU fans have sort of criticized Nate Yeske, sometimes been the inability of guys to throw strikes, whatever. You got to give that man his flowers. His ability to develop pitchers has been nothing short of amazing. Cade Anderson's leap year 1 to year 2. Anthony Ianson throughout the course of last year, getting Chase Shores coming off of Tommy John to what he became at the end of last season. He's awesome. You have one of the best pitching coaches in America, and this is going to be the most talented group that he's got. Everyone always wants to know what the rotation is and what it's going to be, and the three guys you're likely going to see take the ball opening weekend are Evans, Moore, and Schmidt. Casey Evans was awesome last year, as we know, as a freshman. He just wasn't a guy that started a bunch. Of his 19 appearances, only 3 starts. He had 7 saves. He was, as we know, son of a coach, more mature and ready to go as a freshman than William Schmidt was. Now, I know Jay Johnson has lauded William Schmidt as a guy that was 7-0 last year as a freshman. And Schmidt had certainly some moments. He also had an ERA approaching 5. And, 41 strikeouts, but the 22 walks were a problem. And that he's got to fix. But you're talking about a guy who was a top 20 draft pick talent. And it's unfair to hope he makes the same type of leap freshman to sophomore that Cade Anderson did. But he also had a better freshman year, Schmidt did, than Cade Anderson did. So what happens there with those three will be interesting. Cooper Moore isn't a guy that's necessarily going to wow you with his stuff. I had a scout describe to me as a guy with an average arm but can really pitch. So 88 to 93, or probably sit 90, 91, Cooper Moore. But he's made 44 appearances in his college career at Kansas. So you're talking about a dude with real pitchability that's going to factor into the rotation. And one of the things that I was told is don't be surprised if I've just assumed Casey Evans is going to get the ball on opening day, but don't be surprised if it's William Schmidt. Evans has been getting hit here as they've started these outings But I do think it's interesting because he's facing his teammates who since the fall have seen him 15 times. And for Evans, his best pitch is his changeup. And if you throw it 40% of the time and your teammates have seen it and they're sitting changeup, they can hit it. So I'm not worried about Casey Evans in any way. I think he's going to be awesome. And we'll see what they elect to do opening day, if it's Schmidt or Evans, but it's likely going to be one of those guys. But Schmidt, Evans, Moore, in whatever order, I think is going to be your rotation opening weekend. And very seldom does it ever finish like it starts, but I think that's how it'll start. If there's one thing that they would really like to do, it's find a lefty in the rotation. And the guy that's the most likely candidate there is Cooper Williams. And my goodness, is it going to be fun to watch him. He had a 1.80 ERA last year as a freshman, 20 innings pitched. Can he develop some consistency? It's very similar with Maverick Rizzi to Chase Shores. And when you're talking about a guy that's that tall and that long, Ben McDonald has talked about this a lot over the years on this show in a lot of places. But when you're that long, uncoiling with those long levers and developing consistency in your delivery is the challenge. And whenever you figure that out, it looks like Chase Shores did at the end of last year when he was arguably the best pitcher in the country by the end of last year. So watching Cooper Williams' development this year will be fascinating. He's a guy that could, as a lefty, factor in. If you find yourself in need of another guy, Zach Cowan is certainly there as well. And Cowan was the Friday night guy at Wofford before he transferred in last year and became one of the best bullpen guys in the country for the bulk of the season. 52 innings pitched for LSU a year ago at 6 saves. He was really, really good. And so that's another guy who could factor in. And also be fascinating. Remember, Gavin Guidry's back. And the word on Gavin so far is that he looks the best he's looked in his career, but so far he's been best in short stints. So I don't know if a starting spot where you're looking to extend is where Gavin's going to factor in this year, but it's just going to be great to see Gavin Guidry out there again for LSU. Another guy worth keeping an eye on, a couple of the new names. One is Santiago Garcia. So he's from New Mexico. He was Stephen Milam's high school teammate who went up to Oregon. And I think the best comp for Garcia, and he's a lefty, is Griffin Herring. I had a scout comp him to his curveball to Barry Zito. It tells you what type of stuff you're talking about there. But this is a guy who you could likely see out of the bullpen Friday, Sunday. Just think of Griffin Herring's role, right? A guy that maybe gives you an inning on Friday and 3 innings on Sunday, or flip that depending on whatever you may need. So Santiago Garcia is a lefty out of the bullpen to keep an eye on. Obviously, they're very high on Maverick Rizzi. He's been inconsistent with his command. Again, think Chase Shores, but he's going to be great whenever he figures out all of the consistency. You know, Rizzi had some real big moments for LSU a year ago, you know, with the 29 strikeouts and 24 2/3 innings pitched, but 4.74 ERA. So developing the consistency. 3 more names that are worth knowing. At the back of the bullpen, set up, close, whatever order they go, you're looking at Devin Sheeran and Grant Fontenot. Sheeran is a guy we were super high on a year ago, was likely recruited out of high school, hit this big growth spurt, starts throwing 100, but he's at Mount St. Mary's. So he signs with LSU, and then last year before the season, he tears his ACL and misses the whole year. Well, Sheeran's another dude that's 6'5", and they really like him at the back of the bullpen. So Sheeran, Fontenot, 8-9, 9-8, however it's going to go, set up, close, those 2 guys. And Fontenot's ripping it upper 90s. I had a scout comp him to Carter Capps, who pitched for the Miami organization. Was a closer in the big leagues for the Marlins. If you ever want to look at video to kind of see, but you're talking about a guy that's touching 98, 99. I mean, Sheeran, Fontenot, set up, close is likely what you're looking at the back of the bullpen. And the freshman to keep an eye on is Marcos Paz. This is a guy who had Tommy John in high school, and but for the Tommy John, is a guy that would have never showed up on a college campus. This would have been a high school signee straight into pro ball. They think he is an absolute future star. What role does he fill on this team, I think, remains to be seen. But just think about the numbers we just talked about. Evans, Moore, Schmidt, Cowan, Williams, Garcia, Rizzi, Sheeran, Fontenot, Paz. That's 10 right there. And no doubt they'll use more than that as you make your way through midweek guys. You get guys mound time and stuff like that. But by the time you get to the postseason, you tend to pare that rotation down to 7, 8, maybe 9 guys, depending on situational. So those are the key guys. Guidry as well. I shouldn't have omitted there. So I mean, it's 11 if you throw Guidry in there as well. So they have options, and they have a ton of talent. It's going to be so fun to watch Nate Yeske fill these roles with these super talented guys, and especially to watch some of the other guys, how they develop into their roles this year. So quick look, little thumbnail preview of the pitching staff for LSU. In 1 hour, actually at the top of hour number 3, we'll look at the lineup, which, I mean, if we're being very honest, there's one position up for grabs. It's second base. Everything else is effectively spoken for. But we'll talk about that and some of the rotational guys maybe you need to know coming up less than an hour from right now. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Tell you every day about Parish Restoration, if it's restoration or remediation. If you need, if you've had water intrusion and you need remediation, they can help at Parish Restoration. They'll come spray their patented non-toxic dry fog, help you get rid of mold, help you get rid of odor. Maybe you've had odor from smoke, either a smoker, you live in a home that was a smoker, or maybe you had a fire and so you have the odor of smoke. They can help get that out by spraying their patented non-toxic dry fog. Maybe it's pet odor, home, or your vehicle. I mean, literally from your vehicle to your home to largest commercial building in the state of Louisiana, Parish Restoration can help. Check them out online at parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical, not just healthcare. It's healthcare for your lifestyle. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back. We'll chat with former LSU coach John Brady. Hear him on the LSU Sports Radio Network. I would argue the toughest loss of the year for Matt McMahon's squad on Wednesday against Mississippi State in a game that you really had to have, and they didn't get it. So what does it mean for this team? What does it mean for the future? We'll knock it around with Coach Brady next on AFR.
AFR.
Well, we're going to warm up a little bit as we're into the 50s today, but then we're going to get right back down into the freezing and 20s again this weekend. If you have any issue whatsoever with your heater, call River City's 1 Hour Air. You want people that are going to be on time, that are going to be reliable, that are going to do the job right at a fair price. That's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look, they've got more than double the amount of 5-star Google reviews of their next closest competitor. Why? Well, because they've been doing it for 40 years in Baton Rouge. That's a good start. And you don't stick around for 40 years and get all those 5-star reviews if you're not doing great work at a fair price and treating people right. You'll always feel comfortable with whoever's coming into your home. Remember, when the technician's on the way, you'll get a call, a text, and an email alerting you the tech is on the way with their name, photo, and reviews of that technician, so you always know who's coming into your home. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Clearly disappointing night for us. I thought our preparation today and shoot around was really good. There was a great energy, great spirit, but for whatever reason, the start of the game, credited Mississippi State. They were the aggressor. Two teams desperate for a win, and they played with a sense of urgency that we were unable to match. I thought the physicality on the glass clearly was a huge difference maker. We struggled to finish plays around the rim and at the free throw line. That got them out in transition, and they really made us pay from behind the three-point line, and we dug too deep of a hole to have a chance in the game.
Crazy stat, man. Mississippi State turned the ball over 16 times, LSU just 7. The Tigers still lost by double digits on their home floor. Just a very, very unfortunate night. John Brady is good enough to join us, Hall of Famer, of course, former LSU basketball coach, and now on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Always our pleasure. How are you?
I'm doing good, Matt. Good.
What went wrong last night?
Well, they were ready to play, and I think the biggest difference in the game, besides the statistics that you just mentioned, was just the mentality of coming out ready to go. It was an opportunity for LSU to win a game at home against a team that's very beatable. They had lost 5 in a row, and I was surprised that the LSU team came out as flat as they were. We didn't make them uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form on the defensive end, particularly in the first half, and it cost us. Mississippi State's a team that shoots 23% from the three-point line in SEC play. They make 8 threes the first half and just separate the score so much. And our team is not put together to come back from 20 down. I mean, we can make a little run or two, but certainly we don't have the firepower to come back from 20-plus down in the second half. And a lot of times you can tell about the effort teams are giving by the rebounding stat. And our effort at Fayetteville was really good. We out-rebounded Arkansas on the road in Bud Walton. We come home, get beat 24 on the glass. And that's all about effort to me. The talent level might be a little bit different from time to time, but certainly the effort can always be there, and we just didn't give it last night.
43-24 was the rebound stat. When we talk about starting slow and then effort, how much of that is on the coach to get his team ready to play and motivated? How much of that is on the individual player to be ready to go?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think the competitive nature of the guys that you bring in is very important in the recruiting process. I think you can make them more competitive. You can make them tougher by well thought out competitive practices where there's a loser in every drill that you do, and there's a price to pay if you don't win. And I think that can build competitive nature. But I think it's a combination. Players should be motivated anyway in today's world. If I'm on a team and I'm making $500,000, I'm ready to go now. I got to tell you. So I think the whole concept of coaching now is a little bit different because of the money the players are getting that are supposed to be producing. And the biggest thing you can get into as a coach now at this level, if you evaluate poorly and you've got a lot of money sitting on the bench that may not be good enough to win games.
John Brady's with us. What were some of the incentives that you had in practice when or disincentives when guys lost in practice?
Well, somebody asked me one time, Coach, why do your teams play so hard? I say, well, I yell at them, and that was probably as simple as I could get. But I think everything you do in practice should be competitive, and there's a loser and a winner in every drill, in every 3-on-3, 4-on-4, full court, because I think they can't just do the drill for drill's sake. And there's got to be a penalty to pay in that in the process. So I think well thought out competitive practices are key to developing the competitive nature, attitude that a team needs to win consistently, provided the talent is there.
John Brady is our guest. Going into last night's game, Coach, I could have laid out a path for this team to the NCAA tournament. The net was 46. Already won 13 games, a couple of winnable games, including last night at home against State. You lose that game, it's hard to imagine the path. Now, and I could ask you this question. I think John Brady, the coach, and John Brady, the analyst, might give me two different answers, but you could choose which direction you'd like to go. Do you still see a path for this team to the NCAA tournament?
It's going to be very difficult. I thought the game last night was really an important win and an opportunity to get a win for LSU. I coming off the Arkansas game, the way we played on the road, Bud Walton's one of the most difficult places to play in the league. It's in my top 3. We performed well. We took care of the ball. We had opportunities to win that game and then to come home and not play with a desperation and a sense of urgency with what you just talked about. The opportunity is still there. Now I think the window is getting a bit cloudy now, and if we don't win the game this Saturday on the road at South Carolina, who just got beat 40 or 50. I think the door is going to close on it, to be honest.
You said something a minute ago that I thought was really interesting, where you talked about evaluating your roster, and if you misevaluate, then you got a lot of money sitting on the bench. What do you think? And I'm not asking you to call out players individually, but what do you think this team might be missing if they did misevaluate? Like, what component of the roster do you think maybe is where they're falling short? Is maybe a better way to say it.
Well, I think just the overall nature of our team from a toughness and competitive spirit standpoint, the ability to defend every single night. I've never built a team around the scoring of points or shoot or making baskets, because those are things that can come and go. You see teams some night they make every basket, but what you can control is the effort you give defensively and the effort you give trying to block out and limit teams to one shot. And I think your team needs to be built around defending, getting back in transition, making teams beat you in the half court. And that's how I always structured, every team that I tried to coach was in that way, because you control effort, but you can't control the ball going in. And sometimes, people think offensively all the time, and players sometimes think if they score a lot of points, they had a good game. But I think the team needs to be structured around the ability to defend without fouling, being aggressive, with discipline, and then go back and rebound the ball.
21 games in, what realistically can you do to fix it?
I don't. I'm not there every day at the practice. But I know coming off the Arkansas game and to come out and play like we did the first 20 minutes was really surprising to me. I don't know what we did in the 2 days of practice because I wasn't there, but certainly with an opportunity to win an SEC game at home on a team that had lost 5 straight, I think the practices before would have been pretty demanding, short but demanding. And keep them guys on edge. I think we came out and we looked to me like we thought we were going to win the game. Well, I don't know why we would think we would ever win any game. We should have had a desperation of play and a sense of urgency that would be unmatched, particularly at home, and it wasn't there. And Matt said the right thing. They came out and took it to us, and we didn't respond in the right way. Therefore, we got too far behind, and our team is not put together like that to play catch up.
Yeah. You got an opportunity on Saturday against South Carolina. There's one spot ahead of the Tigers in the league standings. You still got Oklahoma ahead, who's tied with LSU at 1-7, but lower because of the overall record. But there's not a lot of layups in this league, no matter what. And you had a winnable one last night that got away. John Brady is our guest. You hear him, Chris Blair on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Tigers will give it another go this weekend in Columbia, South Carolina. We always appreciate the time. Thank you.
Okay. All right. See you, Matt.
All right. Be well. John Brady. Of course, by the way, John Brady, newly elected to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. He'll be enshrined this summer in Alexandria. We are in Natchitoches, excuse me. You passed through Alexandria to get to Natchitoches, excuse me. We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Actually, rolled into Rouse's earlier today. I told you that, actually, just a bit ago. I went to go buy Evermore, and I love they have an Asian bowl that they make. It's Asian, fried rice with you can get chicken or beef. I got the beef, fried rice, and vegetables bowl. So many great options. They have sushi made daily. They got the salad bar. They get so many different options. The hot bar, the hot and boiled seafood kiosk as well. Grab dinner for the entire family. Everybody can get something different. If you want lunch, dinner, it's great every day. They got tons of king cakes, as we talk about all the time. You want to ship a king cake. Got a couple more weeks until Mardi Gras, so ship your king cake anywhere in the lower 48. If you got a family member or a coworker, a client, something you want to give them a little taste of Carnival, go to Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Ship that king cake anywhere in the continental 48. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home. I'm glad to hear Coach Brady say that he was surprised by the way they came out. I'm not glad that it happened, but I mean, if there was any other explanation, I'd have been interested to hear it. But, that was one you had to get. And, we opened the show today talking a little bit about, this program and its direction under Matt McMahon. I know a lot of people are ready for a change, especially after last night. And and I don't have the answer. Roster composition and listen, there's people say they don't have enough SEC bigs, maybe don't have enough 3-point shooting, whatever. There's smarter basketball people that can put a roster together than me, right? What is undeniable is you've had time and resources invested. This is year 4, and last year was awful. And one of the things we discussed was when a lot of people wanted LSU to move on last year, I said, look, you could either take that money and spend it to buy out your coach, or you could take that money and give your coach a roster capable of competing. And so they put money into this roster. As I'm told, more than double the amount that they had in the roster a year ago, but you're still sitting on the same results at 1-7 in conference play. That is just terribly disappointing. So, I don't know what they're going to do. My assumption, because of what we heard Vert Jawsbury say in that interview with The Advocate a couple of weeks ago, where he said, look, if they don't make the tournament, we're going to reevaluate everything. My assumption would be that they'll fire Matt McMahon and hire a new coach. But as I understand it, having some convos today, I don't think that is so cut and dried because of the same conversation we had a year ago. Would you really want to just set a match to $10 million to buy out Matt McMahon and his staff and then have to turn around and invest in a new coach, a new staff, and pay the roster? You had a lot of momentum behind doing that in football because people were ready for a change. And it's paid off to this point with Lane Kiffin. I don't know that same motivation is there after everything that's been spent in football to do the same now with basketball. So, 10 games left here in the regular season. See how they fare, and then, as Verge said, they'll reevaluate. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Thursday show is presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland met with reporters at the Senior Bowl. Let's hear some of what they said next on AFR.
AFR.
Thinking of putting in a pool? You better be thinking about Duplessis Builders. DuplessisBuilders.net. DuplessisBuilders.net. Hey, you can always get into their beautiful showroom on Airline in Gonzales, next to the new Rouse's. It's actually on the corner of Airline and Duplessis Lane. Serendipity in life sometimes. DuplessisBuilders.net. Pools, outdoor kitchens, they can do it all. Any type of custom design that you want. You want a beautiful resort-style pool, Duplessis Builders can do it. You want that gorgeous outdoor kitchen where you're going to entertain for decades and years and generations and seasons. DuplessisBuilders.net can do it all. Whatever your dream is, they can design it and implement it. It's DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net. Remember, you can also go to the website. They have pool and outdoor kitchen options, custom already made, where you can just pick the one you want, pick your finish, and boom, you can even pay for it, finance it right there on the website. DuplessisBuilders.net. Check it out today. It's right there. It's DuplessisBuilders.net.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
I'm glad you're rolling along with us here. Thanks again to John Brady for joining us. Matt Flynn was here in hour one. A little recap of what he saw at the Senior Bowl. You miss anything, get it on demand, presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Mark Schlereth in about 45 minutes from right now. We'll talk some Super Bowl with Stink, three-time Super Bowl champion. Looking forward to that conversation coming up here in just a little bit as well. Remember, you can always text the show on the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Cullen said, hey, Matt, since LSU clearly doesn't care about men's basketball, would it make sense to pull some of their rev share money pump it into baseball. But the fans do not care about men's basketball either. Seems like a lost cause. Would love to hear your thoughts. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. I think LSU should put more emphasis in men's basketball because ultimately there are two sports that make money. Two. That's it. Everything else loses money. Football and men's basketball. As we saw, men's basketball was 3-15 in the conference last year. They still made $1 million. And it's because of the premium seating and the media rights for men's basketball. So it would stand to reason if you have something profitable, like pour gasoline on that fire to make it more profitable. Look at Florida and Auburn and Alabama. I mean, these are not historically great basketball schools. But they found the right coach. They made an appropriate investment. And they're winning at a high level. And it's amazing. I mean, LSU's done it. Dale Brown went to 13 straight NCAA tournaments. It can be done. So I think you should invest in men's basketball because all of the other sports are not going to make money. The glaring outlier here, and I know this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, and I'm not being disparaging, but it's worth mentioning. The outlier is women's basketball because you do make a large financial investment into women's basketball, and that lost $8 million last year. Now, I also believe women's basketball is a loss leader. On a balance sheet, it's not going to look good. You lost $8 million. No sport on campus loses more money than women's basketball because of the investment you have in which you pay Kim Mulkey and the staff and all this sort of stuff. But the run you went on when you won the national championship provides such a gigantic attention windfall that it's hard to categorize what that's worth financially. Does that make sense? You win the national championship. Angel Reese does the "You Can't See Me" thing to Caitlin Clark. And then Saturday Night Live on Weekend Update is doing a skit where Punky Johnson is playing Angel Reese. You literally can't call NBC and say, "Hey, we'd like to pay you to do a Weekend Update skit with wearing an LSU." You literally can't do that. So, and we had Cody Worsham at the time join us, and he had done some estimates of what the windfall impact was of that women's basketball national championship, and it's massive. It's worth way more than $8 million. If you went to try to get paid media for all the free publicity you got, you couldn't afford, it's way more than $8 million. So it's complex. But if you want to fix it, really, it's the money you're putting into women's basketball. And I'm not saying stop investing. Please don't. I don't want angry people lining up at the door calling me a sexist and all this sort of stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that is the outlier. You have a sport that requires a lot of investment to win at the level you are, and it loses a bunch of money. That's the investment that, in essence, a lot of other schools don't make. And they do take that money then and put it in their men's basketball program. Or like at LSU, where we demand Jay Johnson be good. You have to win in baseball at LSU. It's not good enough to just exist. You got to win. Well, when you're investing what LSU is going to invest in football and men's basketball and women's basketball, the runoff for baseball is not very, very much. But we all demand Jay Johnson be in Omaha and win championships every year. So it becomes complex. And I don't know that there is an easy answer. So, it's the conundrum that Verge Ausberry and his staff have to solve. What do you do? But I don't think the answer is, just don't be good in men's basketball. Because it's the only sport, aside from football, where you make money. And in this era, in the rev share era where you added a $20 million line item to pay your student athletes every year, you got to do two things: increase revenue, decrease expenses. Well, one surefire way to increase revenue is get good at men's basketball. Now, it's going to increase expenses too, but can you offset and make money? Yes. Like, you have an opportunity to make more money in men's basketball. Like, you're never going to make money. If that amazing year when you won the national championship in women's basketball, you still lost $8 million, you're never going to make money in women's basketball. It is not a product whereby you can charge enough the ticket prices, get the requisite attendance, and then more importantly, the media rights. You're never going to make money on women's basketball. So you accept that. Like, it's a loss leader. But I don't think that means you don't invest in men's basketball, because it is the thing that, aside from football, gives you an opportunity to make money. So, yeah, like, it matters. Go make money. Go be good in the thing that can make you money. So the texter, I believe his name was Cullen. No, you don't willingly choose to not invest in men's basketball. I think you find a way to be relevant and more profitable in men's basketball. And they're missing right now. Very clearly, they're missing. So you ask the question, like, can you afford to move on from Matt McMahon? I would spin it and go, like, ask it another way. Can you afford not to? It's the conversation a lot of people had about Brian Kelly. Gordon McKernan, we sat at court to table with Gordon, and he said those words. He's like, we were losing money with Brian Kelly either way. Like, the people aren't showing up to games, the suites are empty, donors aren't given. Like, when you lose like that, it's like, so you ask, can you afford the $54 million? Well, how much is it costing you not to fire him? And it sucks to set a match to $54 million. But look at the 2 months since you fired Brian Kelly. 3 months. It was the beginning of November. Look at what's transpired in those 90 days thereabouts. I mean, it's pretty remarkable about face. So, all right, it's after further review. I was supposed to talk about the Senior Bowl here, but that was a good question. I wanted to address it. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters too. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. And also, I was actually chatting earlier today with Adrian Holly, and this is so cool. Relief Windows is now offering custom fabric roller shades. You've seen these in people's homes. You've seen these in hotels and other public buildings like that. But this adds function and style to any room. It's clean. They're modern fabric interior shades. So this is basically effortless light control and a streamlined look. You got to check it out. Manual, they have cordless, and they have remote controlled operation. So they're custom measured like everything at Relief Windows. You got to check them out. They're also custom installed for a flawless fit. It's Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, shutters too, and now they do interior shades. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Mutual do Tigers and the Pros coming up. At the start of this hour, we looked at the LSU baseball pitchers, gave you a brief preview of the pitching staff. In about 15 minutes, we'll look at the lineup. And, I mean, look, there's one job up for grabs in the starting nine. We'll talk about that, but also the other things where you could see some depth and some guys, earning some spots and some ABs and some innings. So we'll get to that here in about 15 minutes from right now. Mark Schlereth in 30 minutes. Otter in hour 3. Ton to do. Glad you're here. It is AFR presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing.
AFR.
If you're ever in downtown Baton Rouge, or you're going to be in downtown Baton Rouge for parades, for Mardi Gras, this seems like tomorrow is KKDL down at the River Center. Of course, love Spanish Town and other awesome parades here during parade season. It brings a lot of people into downtown Baton Rouge. It is a great opportunity. I want to plant the seed so you remember to get by Watermark Baton Rouge. Or maybe make a weekend out of it, a little staycation in downtown Baton Rouge. Get a room and stay at Watermark. It's walkable from the River Center and all the downtown venues. So instead of going to Mardi Gras Ball and driving or getting an Uber or a driver, just stay at Watermark Baton Rouge. Go downtown, have lunch at Milford's on 3rd or at the Gregory. take your time, get dressed, and get ready for the ball in their gorgeous guest rooms. Maybe have a cocktail, a glass of wine at their lobby bar before you head over to the parade. And, of course, you can spend the night at Watermark Baton Rouge. It's downtown, Watermark Baton Rouge.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Remember, you can email us, tweet us, or text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Thanks for hanging out. Glad you're bored with us here. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Alexandria, of course, WBTR television, YouTube, podcast, wherever you are. We're just glad that you're hanging out with us here on this day. Busy hour 3, staring us straight in the face. Right now, though, Muso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, the Buffalo Bills officially introduced Joe Brady as their head coach today. He met with the media, said all the right things, aced the press conference, didn't take the job to shy away from expectations. He's embracing it, meeting it full on. Quote, I know what I signed up for, and we're going to embrace it because no one rises to low expectations. This is going to be fascinating. It feels like everything with Joe Brady, that this happened very fast, and the expectations that he encounters are a little different than a first-year coach normally does. The Bills have been in the playoffs 7 straight years, and it's not often that the new guy is expected to not only go to the playoffs, but to win and potentially make a run to the Super Bowl. I think this either kind of goes fantastically well or just blows up in their face. I will say, found this earlier, history not necessarily on Joe Brady's side. Since 2000, coaches promoted from within to the head job, just 2 of them have finished with a winning record. Jason Garrett and, of course, Mike Martz of the St. Louis Rams. We'll keep an eye on it. It certainly will be fascinating. Nas Reed, a night ago for the Minnesota Timberwolves, turned in 28 minutes off the bench. Nas has my favorite stat line to read, I think, of anybody, because he just puts up numbers in every category. 23 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, a block. Awesome night, 9 of 17 from the floor. Timberwolves got the win. Nas is back in action on a back-to-back here on Thursday. Tari Eason in a starting role, 25 minutes, 10 points, and 6 boards. He totaled up 3 steals as well. The Rockets did take the L. Tari Eason is back in action tonight on a back-to-back. Keep an eye out for Trendon Watford and the Sixers. They host the Kings. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Supper Club, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. It's where you can go get your reservations, supperclubbtr.com. You want the best steak of your life? My goodness, go to Supper Club. You know, one of the things Brandon told me whenever we first started talking about Supper Club, he was like, you know, a hot dog tastes better at a ball game. A margarita tastes better on a beach. A steak tastes better at Supper Club. And it's true. The ambiance, the atmosphere, the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. And the food is incredible as well. It really doesn't matter what you get. You might say, Matt, that sounds great. I'm just not a steak person. Cool. We were at the Our Lady of the Lake Christmas party, which they had at Supper Club. And so they had sort of a buffet line set up with, they had steak and they had lamb and they had chicken and they had veal and they had the Chilean sea bass as well, so you could just take whichever entree you wanted. And I got a little maybe like a little bit of steak and a little bit of the fish. And when sat down at the table and we're eating. It was me and the Terrys, actually Mac and Jill Chiwilli from Traction. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, did y'all try the sea bass?" And everyone's like, "Man, I thought the same thing." It was incredible. So yes, you want to get an amazing steak, get it. If you're a fish person, get the sea bass. It's outstanding. You want the lamb lollipops? Go get them. They're outstanding. Like whatever you eat, it's going to be the best thing that you have ever. They're booking up for Valentine's Day. They're booked for Valentine's Day. It's a Saturday. They've been booked. But that week, of course, book that week ahead and go celebrate Valentine's Day at Supper Club. Supperclubbtr.com. Supperclubbtr.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review. 2 quick notes. The 2 New Orleans Saints staff members have been requested for interviews by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Saints quarterbacks coach Scott Tolzien is expected to interview for the OC job in Pittsburgh under Mike McCarthy. Tolzien played in Green Bay under McCarthy. And then Jari Evans has been requested. He's a Saints offensive line assistant, been requested for an interview also in Pittsburgh under Mike McCarthy. You might remember when Jari Evans left the Saints, he went and played. The final team he played for in his career was the Green Bay Packers under Mike McCarthy. So a couple of Saints assistants who played in Green Bay under McCarthy now being requested by McCarthy for interviews for full-time staff member jobs there with Pittsburgh Steelers. So when those interviews happen, we'll certainly let you know and know how it goes, but something worth keeping an eye on as we move throughout this hiring process with all these coaching staffs in the NFL being filled, with all the head coaching vacancies still being filled as well. All right, it's After Further Review. SportsCenter's coming up, hour number 3, coming up next.
After Further Review.
Brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020. You want to see 2020? Call 924-2020. Hey, look, at the Williamson Eye Center, it's so important to note that a couple of things. I, for a lot of years, was told I wasn't a great candidate for LASIK. Turned out to be fundamentally false. I was the perfect candidate for LASIK and wish I had done it 10 years before. Like, in so many people, you'll hear that same narrative. But even if you're not a candidate for LASIK, remember, ophthalmology and refractive procedures are so much more than just LASIK. Whether you're nearsighted, you're farsighted, stigmatism, whatever, there is a procedure for you whereby you can ditch your contacts and glasses forever. You want to get rid of the readers? You're tired of carrying the one pair on your neck, the one pair on your head, the one pair in your pocket, the one pair by your nightstand, the one pair on your desk. Like, just be able to see? Williamson Eye Center can make it happen. WilliamsonEye.com.